Well, we're so glad. My special guest today is Arlene Mills, and she's from the Gluten Free Zone, a great store here in Murraysville, who carries products for people who have this situation that they're dealing with. And it really can be very serious, can't it?
Yes, and it's overwhelming too when
you had that.
Yes.
And you had that. You continue to deal with it. What's the biggest thing a person can do, the most important thing they can do to begin to change into a gluten-free diet?
Well, first would be to educate yourself, because people always get very nervous because the gluten-free diet seems very nerve-wracking, and I could never do this for the rest of my life, but it's very easy to do.
And I think, like, even with your store, you have a lot of substitutes, like breads and breadcrumbs. Today we're going to make a great, it's the best gluten-free meatloaf that we could find. Smells so good in here. I wish you had smell-o-vision. Okay, why don't you go ahead and show us how to put it together.
All right.
First of all, you want to use good, fresh vegetables, right? And meats and all kind of ingredients. Okay, what do we have here? 1.5 pounds of good ground beef, which she has in the bowl. Go ahead, you can take that. And then we're going to add some salt to that. I believe that's in there. Okay, and some pepper. And some onion, just chopped onion. None of this has gluten in it, so we're cool.
And remember, all your vegetables and your fruits and proteins are always naturally gluten-free.
Right, and that's a good thing. That's a real good thing, okay? We have a little chopped green pepper, which adds a nice flavor to it. I think that's always a plus when you're making a meatloaf, right? And then we have some steak sauce. That would be that one. That gives additional flavor.
And I checked the ingredients. It is gluten-free.
Yeah, and that's the best way. Just check on the back of your, I think we're all getting to read labels more. Because I think it's more important. And then we have an egg. Just kind of like the basic meatloaf. Oh, that was good.
That was
real good.
I lived off of eggs my first year of being gluten-free, because I didn't know what was gluten-free.
Yeah. And then we're going to do some milk. But before we do, what is this? Now, normally, you put some kind of a bread or breadcrumb because that holds the meat together and gives you the loaf. But we know the bread, because it's wheat, barley,
and
rye. So we can't have those. So this is a good substitute. And this is a product. Let's see the container over there. This is you have this in your store?
We do. And it's our replacement for breadcrumbs. And instead of being made out of wheat, barley, or rye, it's made of a combination of white rice flour, brown rice flour, and tapioca.
Tapioca, not in a pudding. No. It's in the meatloaf today. That's interesting. So none of those have gluten.
Nope.
That's great. Okay, so let me just look at that texture. Look, it just looks like it's more granule than the breadcrumb might be, but you get the same consistency, and it would work. You can tell it will work. And that's just a cup of that. Let's put that in. Okay, and then we have about 1/2 cup of milk, maybe a little bit less there. And we've already sprayed our loaf pan because it's important, because and there's no gluten in the sprays for, okay.
Pan is okay.
Okay, good. I'm going to clean up, and you're just going to mix. And we talked about, because a lot of people do low carb diets, and basically that's a real good way that you can get onto gluten-free if you follow that, really?
Right, because all your proteins and your fruits and vegetables are naturally gluten-free.
So there's what about dairy products? Do they have gluten in them?
Most do not, but I would always encourage you to read the labels.
Why would you, if milk doesn't, was there a possibility they could because they enriched it or something?
No, milk is usually fine. It's usually in the manufacturing process that there would be cross-contamination. Like cheese and everything, it's usually naturally gluten-free.
But you never know.
You never know, so
and I know
read your
some
labels.
People have such a sensitivity to it that even if it's in a kitchen where other gluten products have been used, it could be in the air, or it could be in there, even if they've cleaned and washed.
Well, we would encourage you to wash and sanitize all your utensils and bowls before preparing a meal for a gluten-free guest. Yes.
And even a good thing to do too would be even to do the sanitize cycle if you have your dishwasher, because that's really going to get hot and kill any kind of germs or anything that's there. You just don't want to take that chance. Let's see, that looks pretty good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Let's mix it just a little bit. See them little green ones there? We got to get that in there. There we go. So do you have a family?
I do.
Do you have children?
I do not. I'm married, but I have a dog and a cat, and they're like children.
Are they gluten-free?
They are gluten-free.
Of course they are. What about the hub? Is he gluten-free?
He is. He's 100% gluten-free.
Because he has to be, or
Yep.
because he is? I mean, he has to.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because when we first started dating was when I was diagnosed, and my grandmother thought for sure he was going to leave me because the gluten-free diet was so hard to follow. But she prayed every day, and he didn't leave me.
Oh, well,
so
see, he's a smart man.
yes.
Gluten-free or not, he loves you, that's for sure. So you can take that to the bank. Well, that's good, because it's nice not to have to prepare 2 different
Right,
menus
and
every night.
absolutely.
And that's
And
what's worse than
That's the biggest thing. People don't realize how easy it is to prepare gluten-free.
that. Right.
You know, this was a gluten recipe, and all we did was substitute the
Just
breadcrumbs.
one
thing.
item. Yeah.
Yep.
And what are the feelings that you have in how you start to think, well, maybe I have a problem? What are the symptoms of it?
Oh, there are 300 symptoms to
gee.
celiac or gluten sensitivity, but common ones are digestive orders, migraines.
Digestive pains, or just a full feeling?
Full
Or
feeling, nausea.
on a continuing basis?
On a continuing basis.
Okay.
Abdominal pain, bloating, vomiting,
Just
diarrhea.
discomfort.
Yes, discomfort.
all of the above, or some of the
Yes,
above?
acid reflux, inflammation in your joints.
So just to eliminate a lot of those things, to figure out, I would go on a gluten-free just to see if it makes a difference in my problem.
Well, we would encourage you to talk to your doctor about being tested for celiac disease, and if your results come back negative, try the diet for 2 weeks, and if you feel the effects right away to know if you're gluten-free or not.
Okay, we're just going to take either the steak sauce or some of this, and we're just going to put a stripe down there, and then we're going to,
Yep.
okay? You don't want to do that? Now, this is going to go into a 350-degree preheated oven. I can't stress how important the preheated oven is, because you're going to cut 15 minutes off of your time, actually, if you don't preheat your oven. And then when you're talking about meat, you want it cooked through. You want it well done, right?
Right,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
So we're going to do that. When we come back, everybody in the place is going to be testing and tasting, and I think they're going to like it.
I promise you.
And we're going to put out some other little things with it. So don't you go anywhere, because it's not over yet, and we'll be right back in just a minute. Stay with us.
Well, we just heard the word
Yes,
of God,
we did.
which Jesus said was the bread of life. He's the bread of life. Now we're looking at some gluten-free meatloaf.
Well, you know, can I just say about Cornerstone, we feed the spiritual man and we feed the natural man. So, where else do you have to go? We're
it.
doing it all.
That's it.
All right. Well,
Now,
guess who's hungry?
Allie, yeah, just cut into it. We've got
Okay.
forks for everybody. But
Okay.
Allie, what we added here was a baked potato.
Right.
And we just put a little bit of cheese on that. And then this is fresh broccoli that I've just used a little olive oil and some garlic, and just steamed that, and then put that on top. And everything is gluten-free, right?
Right, absolutely.
Praise the
This
Lord.
looks like my dinner
Is it
every
good?
night.
It looks like you did it every night.
It's delicious.
I wish I
Try
could.
It's an every night kind of thing in the alley household.
It is really good. Oh, I
Now,
like the
now,
meatloaf.
Allie, you
Did
can't
you try the
do it
meatloaf?
Because you have to be really, really careful. Is
I
that right?
do, yes. I'm very sensitive, as well as many celiacs are very sensitive, so.
So you have to just do cooking in your own home
Exactly.
and in that controlled atmosphere. That's
Yep.
good. But we also put some Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue. And she checked all the ingredients and everything is cool. Now remember, the recipes are available at ctvn.org. You can go back and see the whole segment. You can see the whole today's program if you want to. And we just want you to know that they're available. You can download them. You can print them out, share them with your friends. But we're glad that she came and taught us about this
Yeah.
today.
Absolutely.
Can you guys tell it's gluten-free?
Nah.
No, you
No.
can't. And it doesn't. It tastes really good. So you have to remember, gluten-free isn't supposed to taste bad. It's supposed
Well,
to
all
taste
you have
good.
to do is try their bakery, and then you're
Exactly.
you know that it tastes good. You know, it's impressive to me that you had a problem that you and your family solved, and then you turned it into an opportunity.
Absolutely.
And how God has given you that grace to go from a problem. You could have stayed just in it and never found the answer.
right.
But
Allie,
you
give
turned
us
it.
your address again, where your business is.
We are located on 22 in Murraysville, and we are right now in the Rosa Courts across from 84 Lumber, but in a few weeks we will be in the new plaza called the Blue Spruce Shops.
Oh, I know where that is.
Yes.
Good.
Do you have a website?
We do, yourglutenfreehealth.com.
We'll put it on our site too, so that you can find a link to
That'd
it.
be great.
Remember that the recipes are online too,
Yes.
so you can try this yourself. Well, it's almost time for us to go back into our prayer session and pray. And as I said, if you're hungry and thirsty, and we're taking a bite here, but if you're hungry and thirsty, we're going to pray with you that you'll be filled today.
Amen.
That you'll be filled. But before we come and do that, Arlene, what are we going to do next? We see what comes up tomorrow?
We want to see what's happening on Real Life.